All right, continuing on. Another assumption is that all the objects in the solar system are roughly the same age. This is horrible. Here, I'll explain it to you. This ignores the richness of the other objects' evolutionary paths. All the objects in the solar system are most definitely vastly different ages. For instance, Venus is roughly the same size as Earth, is comprised of rocks like the Earth, and no longer has a magnetic field. How do two very similar objects form at the same time, and one have volcanic activity and the other is a lifeless world without any activity? Clearly, Venus is vastly older than the Earth and has almost completely solidified. So you have Venus and Earth forming at exactly the same time. Why does this one have volcanoes and life? Why does this one have no volcanoes, no life, no nothing, just a thick CO2 atmosphere, and it's no magnetic field? I mean, Earth and Venus are not sisters. They're not related at all. These came from somewhere else completely different in the galaxy. So just by looking at the fact that they have the same similar masses and they're the same similar sizes, made of rocks and minerals, but one is totally more active than the other, should be a sign that they are vastly different in age. This is much younger than Venus. Earth is much younger than Venus, even though Earth is actually many billions of years old too, which is pretty wild. It's beyond my imagination how old those things are. All the large objects in the solar system, besides the sun, do not evolve. You can tell this is what they believe because there are no evolutionary models for Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Earth, or any other objects. All the evolutionary time frames apply to the sun only, which is really dumb. I have here written, all objects which produce heat evolve. It's called heat evolution. Inside of chemical reactions, if something's producing heat, it means there's an evolutionary construct to the reaction. It's taking place, or exothermic or endothermic reactions, both. As well, chemistry is evident as the proposed heating is provided by synthesis reactions to form molecules, meaning you take parts and you make them a bigger part, which takes part in exothermic reactions for the most part, fueled via gravitational collapse to overcome the activation energy requirement. Now, I suggest people look up activation energy requirement. That's what they use catalysts for. So you have, say it goes like this, okay? So you have a base amount of energy between the two molecules, and this little hump right here is the activation energy. So you need to get over that hump, and then the total energy drops. So it releases heat from this side. That would be an exothermic reaction, I believe. And the opposite would be you still need to get over that hump, and then it goes, the total activation energy is higher, or the total energy of the system is higher. But that's that. I think this would be endothermic and this is exothermic. So this is heat absorbing and this is heat releasing. So for the majority of stellar evolution, you have exothermic reactions taking place. I think I got that right. I would double check that, to be honest with you. All right, number 19. Another assumption is stars are fusion powered. They cannot be powered or hot for any other reason. This is where the dogma takes hold. This is a very powerful dogma. It was invented in the 1920s and 30s and still taught as if it's there are no other alternatives. But we know better because we have actual, science taking place where we falsify hypothesis. And little do people know the fusion model has actually been falsified a long time ago by the Russians in the English back in the 1970s when they found out the sun wasn't differentiated. There was no actively burning core, but anyways. Plasma recombination and reionization fueled via gravitational collapse keeps young stars hot and luminous. As the gravitational field diminishes to mass loss, the feedback loop becomes interrupted, and the plasma recombines into superheated gaseous matter, which then evolves into much more complex molecules to dissipate the leftover heat for many more billions of years. This is actually pretty advanced stuff here. I'm not going to explain it in this talk, but do look up recombination, reionization. Do look up gravitational collapse. Basically, the essence of that is you have a really large body, and the amount of work done on the material as the star collapses on itself has it releasing heat. But more on that later. This means stars are hot and can remain hot as long as they evolve with mechanisms completely absent the concept of fusion, and can almost ignore radioactive material heating any, wait for it, matter. This is a complete reversal in philosophy of stellar evolution planet formation processes being strictly reliant on fusion radioactivity, placing importance of fusion radioactive matter was ill-suited. Those concepts more than likely have no actual importance to the evolution of stars, meaning planet formation. What is more appropriate to the reader is to realize the velocities and energies required for nuclear reactions occur in the jets emitted from active galaxies and pulsars, not stars. Pulsar is not a star. Pulsars and active galaxies. Stars are simply not energetic enough. They rest on dull photochemical, electrochemical, and thermochemical processes. But this is considered to be pseudoscience, believe it or not, by the establishment. But we know better. Thermochemistry, electrochemistry, and photochemistry are not pseudoscience. The pseudoscience here is the fusion when they place it inside the sun. Fusion doesn't belong in stars. Okay? Fusion belongs in galaxies as they birth. This is where fusion belongs. Anyways. Number 20. The Earth has moving plates, which are the cause for mountain formation. Plate tectonics does not account for the Earth during earlier stages of evolution, basically all stages of evolution, while it was a gas giant, vastly younger and hotter star. Therefore, mountain formation via plate tectonics alone is probably misguided. This should include the question, how exactly did the molecules which make up the minerals, which make up the rocks, form to begin with? Plate tectonics does not answer this. I should have wrote plate tectonics, doesn't it? Plate tectonic. But anyways, plate tectonics doesn't answer how did the chemicals form which comprise rocks and minerals. They have no mechanism to form rockets and minerals inside of the dogma of plate tectonics. You know why? Because they didn't understand that Earth was actually much more gaseous and more violent in the past, so they could never have made the connection. They didn't have the theory available to them. Now they do, and it's their prerogative to make the changes. Dinosaurs existed as the Earth was orbiting the sun. You know, this is kind of far-fetched, but I might as well say it. Earth probably orbited many other stars in the past, including when the dinosaurs roamed the Earth. As well, the Earth had other smaller stars orbiting it when it was a very, very hot big star. Maybe that's why the extinctions occurred. Okay? Huge extinctions wipe out all the life on Earth. Establishment has big rocks slamming into Earth. Well, guess what? You know why the big rock slammed into Earth? Because it was changing orbits. The Earth was probably orbiting other objects in the past, and when it changed orbits between host stars, it hit the rocks that were in the vicinity in the way. And boom, killed all the life. As well, probably was frozen over during these changes. So yeah, all that ice probably completely wiped out the cold-blooded animals. Stars cannot cool and die, becoming what are called planets. This is a huge assumption that basically contradicts every single thing I've been working on. It says here, we can infer what happens to stars as they evolve by studying much older stars. These much older stars are called exoplanets and planets. We can do what's called reverse engineering. You take the Earth, okay, and you study the hell out of it, and you can deduce what kind of environment had to be there to form the structures that we see, including the core, the magnesium, the silicate crust, and all the atmospheric uh, materials. Alright, this video is long enough. I'll go ahead and make another one, 23. Alright, today's February 23rd, 2016. Later, y'all.